And I have hit a point where it's similar to an NDE, where I became one, the universe, the vastness. And I remember when I hit that part, it was the most powerful moment in my entire life
Are
because
we tapping into something deeper spiritually of who we are at dreams, or is it just simply our brains
most
creating?
definitely,
We are?
most,
Okay.
oh yeah, most definitely. Carl Jung, two paths, two realms to the soul, imagination and dreams. It is a moment when we bypass the rational mind, that neuroadrenaline chemical is asleep and the soul can speak.
I want to welcome everybody back to another episode of The Soul Inspired. Today we have Lynda Samphire with us. She is a transformational intuitive guide, amongst other things. I almost got it wrong there because you're so many different things, but we're going to talk about that. But thank you so much, Linda, for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. Yeah. Thank you for sharing space with me.
We talked about a few things before, and before I got too much info from you, I was excited we'll bring it up during the conversation here. And I think a lot of it's going to hit on a lot of the topics that we tend to follow of the soul inspired family here. I go back to everyone's childhood. So I go
Mm.
back to little Linda, and I think I'm just personally curious about people's personalities before they become who they are, as they become who they're going to be in their life. And I try to go back and find out a little bit about who you were, what kind of influences were around you when you were a child. And it could be spiritual, religious, whatnot, all those different things. And a little bit of your personality.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a beautiful place to start. Because when I was 2 years old, my mother died. I lost my mother at age 2. So from that moment on, there was this sense of the world not being safe, not knowing that at age 2, but there was a big protective mechanism that came in as we're 2 years old. Mom is just gone. She could have gone to the grocery store. Everyone's like, oh, she went to heaven. It meant the same. It's just, where is she? And there was always that really deep sadness within me. Um, but then the overachiever, the pleasing, the doing things to earn and prove love, because it felt like that's what was missing in my life. So there was functioning anxiety, functioning depression, and just go, 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 go. So always looking, always searching. Um, and I was super shy. Oh my gosh, I was so shy, so sensitive. I'm a Cancer sun sign, so very, very intuitive and very shy and sensitive. So growing up that way, I always felt like I had to put on this mask and this front for myself. But I always had this fascination with human behavior, with death, why we're here. And I was highly intuitive, though it wasn't really nurtured because it wasn't understood in my surroundings. So I always kind of felt like that square peg trying to fit into the round hole. Yeah. Am I the same then? I there was a beautiful part when I look back at her, at that young child, where she was so sensitive and so loving, but just afraid to love. And so that part of me where that sense of joy got lost along the way, though it was in there. So I see her, but boy, has she evolved.
Mm,
Yeah.
right, that makes sense. And I
Mhm.
mean, losing a mother that young, I can only imagine. My two youngest, I have four children. My two youngest are both cancers, actually, my two youngest.
Oh, good.
And
Yes.
they're currently 3 months old and 3 years old. And, you know, at that age, if you lose a parent, there's definitely an influence, But like you said, it's not the same as say losing a parent, say at 8 or 10. You have a bigger understanding of what's going on, so it's kind of confusing. So I can imagine there was a lot of confusion that was going on, and maybe led to your seeking, right, for this deep, longing for wanting to know who you were and where you're from and what is God and all this. So you didn't have a religious or spiritual backing and from anyone. Nobody was influencing you in any way.
Well, we grew up Methodist, and I like to call it the potluck religion because if you're
Right. Nice.
if you're sad or something's wrong, you have a potluck. Things are good, you have a potluck. That's kind of how Methodist was. So yes, we had religion in our background, and there was God, and there was heaven, and all of this, but it never really resonated with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have this childhood and, you're asking questions early on. Is that what led you? I'm kind of jumping a little bit ahead, but is that what led you into being, guide, coach, I guess, the intuitive guide you are, the transformational guide you are, or did you have experiences that led you in that direction? I think you mentioned a little bit about an experience that you had at some point in your life using plant medicine. We can talk about that a little bit, much like an NDE. But
Mhm.
was there anything that was giving you this direction, or was this just what you wanted to do? So you're in your teenage years, you're trying to figure out your career, your life. Was it what you wanted to do?
That's a good question. I always had these dreams, and my mother would come to me in my dreams. Like I saw her in my dreams. And it was a reoccurring one. And it was the only place that I could go into, and I felt really connected to something bigger than me. Um, there was, when I was a little girl, there was always someone in a rocking chair in my bedroom in the corner. And it was scary because there's a person there. So,
Mm-hmm.
but then it was like, oh, it's your imagination, get your head out of the clouds, all of that stuff. So it was never nurtured, though it is a gift. And I think that I was trying not to be that, but yet I yearned to be that. So my dream world really opened up my intuition. I could go there and really get a lot of experiences. Um, and there was a lot of not enoughness, especially in those teenage years, and what you should be doing in life and what I wanted to do. And that not enoughness, wanting to work in the intuitive realm, work in a place where I helped people restore rhythm and consciousness and working in that world didn't seem possible. So I went over here and became a hairdresser.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Still a healer, right. In a
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Mm,
And because it was this constant yearning through life to feel like I was enough and find my pillar, my belonging. And it was there all along. I just didn't have that belief in myself.
right.
So I think it was a lot of things that brought me there, but always obsessed with death and human behaviors.
I can relate. I
Yeah.
started I started becoming interested in death and I had some anxiety in my late teens and or mid-teens into late teens and became absolutely deathly afraid of death and
Mm,
eventually convinced myself to look into what is death. It was the only way I was going to get through it. You break your leg, I say this all the time, you go to a doctor. I thought, well, if I need to know what happens when you die, I need to somehow find people who've died. So I started reading book after book after book on near-death experiences, thousands of experiences, and becoming completely obsessed.
yeah.
And this was before all these shows and everything. It was just and I thought, I remember getting to a point and thinking to myself, there's way too many of these to
Mm,
be fake, to not be real. Once that hit me and the reality set in, we are much bigger than we are. Okay. Then I started diving into even more, started going even further, right? And one thing that interests me about, like, one thing I'm interested in what you do is you work with frequency and energy, right? And I'm I was interested to see because it said that you're into frequency alchemy, and I'm trying to understand what that means and how it helps people. Like what is it about frequency and the frequency of who we are that actually helps us? I'm wondering if we can get into that. I might be jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm really curious. And I think that's something I thought about as a kid, but I didn't really understand what I was thinking about.
Yeah, that's a big question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful one because I don't think we look at that and what is frequency. I look at frequency as consciousness, as the soul that is here to experience the dualities, the polarities of life. Without it, we're flat. And so that frequency moves through our body and speaks to us,
Hmm.
and asks us to soften into as it moves through. What happens is we get these imprints and experiences like a mom dying at 2, and that energy, that frequency is stuck, right?
Hmm.
And it manifests itself in behaviors and pain in the body. When the frequency, the energy, the soul is allowed to become more present in every experience, it's the gift of being human.
Hmm.
It's the human gift. So frequency moving through us is the soul and is the gift, right?
And being that, I will say, I love that. Thanks for describing that
Mm,
better. But being that, again, on this show, I speak to so many people who have experiences that are not from this physical. They come to realize we are energy beings. We are energy beings in a physical realm.
yes.
And energy cannot be destroyed, it's within us. And I think it's fascinating that, and I'm not saying that the medical, I don't want to get too down the pharmaceutical talk here, but we tend to try to heal everything with drugs and something physical that we put into our body in order to fix an issue. And I can't help but think, well, if we've proven that we have energy within us, which we have, that's not science fiction, that's real. That's a
Yes.
real
Yes.
thing. I would think that, with all the changes going on in this world, we're starting to realize we are much more energy than we thought we were. And if we learn to work through our energy, that in turn can help us heal. Is that correct?
Most definitely. There's this internal light in all of us. And when it shines and we align with it, we become the energy of love and joy itself.
Hmm.
And that love moves through the soul, moves through the experiences of anger and grief and love and happiness and joy. And I'm talking about the concept of love there. It moves through, and the energy of divine is going through all of it because it's getting the experience and it's the softening into it. The soul craves the contrast, the polarities, and
Hmm.
that's the energy that it's moving through. Otherwise, and that's the gift of being human. Like we get
Right.
to feel. We just get really wrapped up in, well, I just only want to feel this. I don't want to feel this. Right.
Right. With energy and frequency, is there high and low? Like, can we raise our vibration or frequency and be stuck down low? So I'm trying to kind of,
Okay.
yeah, I wonder
Yeah.
if I can go there for a minute because if people are feeling anxious, like I think of anxiety, right? I use that as an example. If I think back to when I had really bad anxiety as a teenager, I wasn't feeling very good. It wasn't a very high energy, high frequency feeling. It was very low. I think it kind of is in the same sense of like depression and things like that. And I'm always trying to think how people get out of that. How can we raise our frequency? Like, what are the things we can be doing to raising our frequency?
Yeah. So anxiety is that in the nervous system gripping, right? So think of our glutamate and GABA system. So the glutamate is the gas pedal and the GABA is the brake.
Mhm.
when we're in anxiety, that glutamate pedal is pushed down and we're just going. So we need the GABA receptors are overexhausted to be underexhausted, move through, and we're going to go from sympathetic to parasympathetic, and then our frequency can raise. I believe that if our nervous system is gripping, it's really difficult to get out of that dense energy.
Mm,
I
okay.
work with Amanita muscaria for that just soothes the body, and it works with the GABA system. And people begin using it, and it's, I'm going to back up just for a minute here. Like, I watch people go to ceremony, meditate, yoga, do all this work, but it's not sustainable. It's because that nervous system is still gripping, and that's keeping us in that anxiety mode. I know where you're at. I had the functioning anxiety. And when we can work with the nervous system, especially that central nervous system, getting it soothed, the ripple effect then is this calmness and tranquility, peace within. Then our vibration can move because then energy's
Mm,
flowing,
I
right? If
see.
energy's flowing, our frequency is high. If it's not, it's dense.
Hmm.
Again, that would be, though, the contrast and the experience of the soul. That's one of the experiences.
Right.
So it's not a wrong thing to be. It's just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think what I'm getting to from you is that, so what you're saying, I mean, there's not like a magic pill in order to or a magic thing you can do to get out of that state. It's work. You have to work through it. Whether I believe for those who don't know what you're talking about a plant medicine, I'm assuming is
Yes.
what you're
Amanita
referring to.
muscaria. Yeah.
Yeah. And so whether you're using that, whether you're using coaching or therapy or things like that, and you're
Yeah.
moving through and you're I don't want to say recycling, you're discarding that energy, you're pushing it through you and not letting it stay stuck. That's when your frequency can rise because you've now worked through it. Is that what you're saying? It's not a matter of just raising the frequency. It's you have to work through that in order for that
No,
frequency
yeah.
to
Well, there's
actually
a
come upward.
gripping. There's
Yeah.
a gripping inside, an imprint in there. And I really don't think we have to go excavate it all.
Mm,
What's happened is we've stuck to a story. It's just energy. Really, it's just energy.
hmm.
And I don't say that just lightly. However, the ego likes to attach it to a anger, anxiety, depression, and then we've defined it, and then we're in the head, and then we're trying to get away from it, and that's resistance.
Hmm.
It's more like a very somatic type of work where we move into it, have a conversation with it, sit with it. And I know that's difficult. Believe me, I know that's difficult because we're constantly trying to get away from it. But that's just masturbating it. That's just feeding it.
Hmm.
So breath work is really good with that.
Hmm.
And yin yoga was my salvation through most of this. Um,
Yin yoga.
yin yoga, because when you're in yin yoga, you're holding those poses for a really long time and you're working with your tissues, and
Mm,
it gets uncomfortable. And what do you want to do when you're uncomfortable? You want to get out of it, but instead you breathe into it. And tears might come because energy is moving. And so
hmm.
it's a beautiful way to move energy within the body. I can be kind of feeling like this and do yin yoga, and it's like, oh, okay, now I feel better. Or even a walk outside. So movement is very important.
Hmm. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I love how you're speaking of those things. And I was going to say, I have some background also in social work in my past,
Okay.
aside of the
Yeah.
music. And one of the areas that I always kind of struggle with, and hopefully this doesn't get me in trouble on the show for any therapists out there or anything like that, but I I sometimes had a little bit of trouble with I think talk therapy is good at a certain level. I think talking through your problems can be a good first step in healing. I have a problem when it becomes a consistent refocus within yourself because like you
Mm-hmm.
just said, what you're doing is if this energy is stuck, if this bad quote unquote energy that we don't no longer want is stuck in there, refocusing on it and reharnessing it isn't really the way to actually work through it, I don't think, at all times. Sometimes it's good to acknowledge it, but acknowledge it so that you can then free yourself from it. Not let's continue to come back around and refocus and come back around and refocus. That's when you have someone who's in a therapeutic situation for years and they're kind of not feeling that movement. And so I'm just bringing it up. It's not that I'm against the therapy side, but I think there is kind of like this, we got to be careful that we're not just
Yeah.
analyzing our life issues. I don't know if you agree with that, if you disagree, but
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, yes, sometimes like we need that soundboarding, like we need to just get it out because sometimes when we speak it to somebody, we can kind of get some answers. But to keep ruminating in that,
mm,
you're just repeating the cycle. You're not moving anything. So that's why I love movement in the body. Even like just doing the qigong with the energy movements and getting our balance back on. I didn't understand qigong for a long time, and then all of a sudden I worked with energy, and I was like, "Oh, I get it. I really get it."
mm,
And because what if we looked at it? Yes, we have our stories, we have our experiences, our our traumatic ones that left imprints. But what if we looked at it like there's just energy in there that really wants to move? It wants to move and it's really uncomfortable. And when it starts to move, the nervous system goes like this: nope, 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 nope. I need to protect you. And that's actually what's happening.
mm.
I mean, and we honor the stories, but I can't tell you how long I went around going, well, my mom died when I was 2, and that's what's wrong with me, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. And that we can get kind of attached to that. And so it's about understanding the body and how consciousness moves through it, how energy moves through it. And you're so right when you say, can we raise our frequency? Yes, that's what it's about. But that's moving the energy.
Hmm.
And it's different for everybody, whether it's yoga or qigong or walking or running or cardio or plant medicine, whatever it is, there's not a wrong way to do it as long as it's working for you and it resonates.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. You spoke a few times about plant medicine, and I don't know if we're talking about microdosing, all these things. I don't know what if you've gone down that road, but I kind of want to dig into that a little bit because before we started talking, that you mentioned that you had a bit of an experience or you've had something kind of, I don't know if it
Mm-hmm.
was like an awakening type experience yourself, but I was
Mm,
wondering if we could kind of go down that. Sometimes I like people sharing their experiences, their life experiences, to open
yeah.
up the idea of who we truly are, right? Because we need to start to understand this. We have a lot going on in this world right now, and we are shifting very quick. And people can either acknowledge that or not. But shows like this, the fact that you can go online and within an hour you can gain so much knowledge, that wasn't going on 50 years ago, 20 years ago.
No.
So we're moving quick. And I love having those stories and experiences. So maybe if you can kind of let me know how you kind of got into that and what the experience was like that you had.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for offering for me to share that. um, I began with microdosing. The one thing for me was I needed to move into psychedelics in a very, very safe container. I quickly moved into, I began microdosing and then I quickly moved into a larger medicine. Um, and I've worked with that medicine for quite a while, building a relationship with it, which that's one of the most important things we do is build a relationship with the medicine. It's not just oh yeah, I'm going to do this and get fixed. It's very uncomfortable, in fact. And I have hit a point where it's similar to an NDE, where I became one, the universe, the vastness. And I remember when I hit that part, it was the most powerful moment in my entire life because I hit that light and I hit that oneness and I hit the vastness as if I was the entire universe. And it was for a moment, but it was beautiful. And a voice spoke through me. And I'm not quite sure what the voice said, but I just remember a voice speaking through me. And as coming back, the ego went, oh, wow, what just happened? Where was the paradise? Why didn't I experience the paradise that everybody's talking about and the vastness and that all I had was just this oneness? It was just me.
Mm,
And that can feel very lonely to the ego.
mm,
However, as integration happens through the body, and so important after experiences like this to really have a safe space to integrate all this, I have never in my life from that moment on been so thankful to be human. Like I was so grateful and the gift of being human because I realized that the love we're seeking, the wisdom we're seeking, the light is all here. And that the soul craves the experiences of duality. And that's the denseness and everything in this world. And embodiment became so important. So I love working with embodiment and the somaticness of our bodies. Um,
mm,
and that same light that I felt, I now didn't want to reach to the divine. I wanted the divine to embody through me, through my hands, my relationships, my meals, the quiet moments in between. And I just started appreciating life so much more. And I thought, oh my God, we're not here to escape the polarities. We're here to like love within them.
mhm,
And each emotion and each challenge and each joy and anxiety and all of that is the soul. There's love and divineness moving through that. I know that's really big, but that was my experience. And I have chills just running through me now speaking about it.
mhm.
From there, I started speaking light language. I was in the presence at one point of angels that were as I see you. But I think I started appreciating the simplicity in life and not having to search for anything and everything and do everything and be everything. And it was the most powerful experience. The interesting part was I always wanted to have an NDE,
Mm.
but I didn't want to have to like die or be
Right.
in pain.
Mm,
And so I did get that. Like I asked for it and I got it. It was super uncomfortable coming back to it,
mhm.
but it was the pure awakening.
Wow, that's beautiful. As I mentioned to you before, I've known many people who've had ayahuasca ceremonies, for instance, who have gone through a similar experience and became aware of who we truly are. Let's just put it that way. Um, and came back a different person in a sense, same person, but with a different understanding or appreciation for life. I love that you just brought this up because this is something I'd love to bring up on the show. Because we have so many people on the show that have NDEs, I get a wide selection of people I speak with, and many of them come back with different um, after effects. Let's put it that way. A vast majority of them come back with what you're saying, the appreciation for life, the understanding that they wanted to come here. They even chose, when some of these deep
Yes.
ones, they've chosen what their life was going to be before. They were excited to come to Earth because it's so hard, and they knew that they would grow soulfully so much by coming into this dense, low leveled place
If we
to
crave
rise
it.
up. And we want to do that because we're such high vibrational beings. We come down to actually try to bring ourselves back up. Now, I have that, and then I have some who come back and they crave going back.
Mm,
They miss it. It's home to them, and it's difficult for them to come back because they feel the difference between what they felt and what they are here. And I think that's part of their learning journey. They're still here to
mm,
learn. That's why they're back. If they weren't coming back, that means they're good. That they probably decided, okay, I learned what I needed, but they came back. And that's not to knock anyone I've talked to that it feels that way, but I think that's part of it because they haven't figured out yet, possibly, that we need to really appreciate this moment that we're in this place is that we wanted to come into. We wanted to come
yeah.
in here to have this experience, and we forget that because it gets so hard. And then you get a taste of what it's like on the afterlife, and you go, "Whoa, send me back." And I can
Yeah.
understand that because that ease, that freedom that we're all seeking.
Yes. Yes.
But we do need to understand that we're here for a purpose. And so the way you just said that, see, it's almost good that you only got it as a jolt like that. You didn't actually go into the afterlife. You didn't, because you said it was kind of like a moment, but it was enough to come back and appreciate, wow, like I need to appreciate being here.
Yes, it really brought, because the space I was in, that oneness, you don't call it love because there's nothing to compare it to, because it just is. I mean, it's beautiful and it feels amazing. Um, but there's no I. There's no nothing to compare anything to. And not to say that when we pass, that's what that's what it is. I mean, it's infinite. It's
Hmm.
infinite. The realms are infinite. And so this is the human realm, and we're choosing to be here. Is it the angelic realm? Is it the fairy realm? Is it this realm over here? So it's not that you're just all alone because it feels so good. This is where, whether it's an NDE or a plant medicine experience, the integration becomes the important part, because there were moments when all of a sudden I'd wake up in the middle of the night in extreme fear. And that fear was energy inside of me that needed to move. That had been in my life prior, stuck. And that's what was moving. That's what the after effects of working with these medicines or any experience like this, it's not actually in that moment. It's the after parts where the body begins to heal. And so I just sat there in the middle of the night, extreme fear. I didn't know why I was afraid, but I was so scared. I had to sleep with the light on.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden it softened, and this feminine energy came down and held me. And she says, I am mother. And I just synced into her. And all of a sudden I just felt that love again. So
Hmm.
that energy just kind of went like this. And so that's what happens afterwards. And I think we need a good container to soundboard for one, and someone to say, you know what, this is really normal,
Hmm.
and normalize what's happening.
Right. I
Yeah.
think one of the most, I love that. One of the most difficult things I think about being human in this current time is, we're still evolving and we haven't really been led to understand who we really are. Whether it's through education, whether it's through all these different
Yeah.
things. Like we really don't know who we are. Like the biggest thing that I get from most of the people I talk to with NDEs and experiences, spiritual transformative experiences, awakenings, is they realize how expansive we are. And then when they feel how expansive they are, how big they are, they come back into this shell and they go, "What is this thing?" Like
I was
I
super
actually thought
dense.
this is what I was. Like it's almost like kind of like what? And that's what really throws them off, and their life kind of gets twisted. But they have to understand this is where they are, and this is what we're doing. But it really stems down to the fact that we're not being taught correctly, and I think that's changing. And I think it's gonna, I think a couple hundred years from now, we're probably gonna be a completely different like understanding of who we are because
Oh,
it's
I
it's kind of
agree.
it's almost like
Yeah.
I always see it right now as like the pot has been boiling and it's starting to like fall apart. All these different systems are starting to like show their weak sides, and I'm seeing it everywhere. Everyone's seeing it. We're all kind of
Yeah.
walking around just doing our day to day, having our coffee, drink, but we know that there's things happening. And, it's just a matter of time before we're kind of on a different trajectory, I think, as human beings. I think it's a combination of combining the human, the physical, with the spiritual, the energy, and understanding what
Mm.
we are. And once we do that, and we start understanding who we are, it's amazing. I talked to you earlier about how I wanted to talk to you a little bit about dreams because I've never spoke about dreams in the show. And people just in general, even my fiance, she has she astro travels all the time.
Mhm.
It's both exciting and scary. She's trying to understand how to navigate it. I don't do that, and I'm the spiritual guy having a spiritual podcast, but I don't leave my body at nights. I think technically I don't want to right now. I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of attached. I'm not really sure, but I think we're going to start understanding more about that as we go. I'm wondering if we can. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you. I'm kind of jumping all over, but with the dreams aspect. Are we tapping into something deeper spiritually of who we are at dreams, or is it just simply our brains
Most
creating?
definitely.
We are?
Most,
Okay.
oh yeah, most definitely. Carl Jung, two paths, two realms to the soul. imagination and dreams. It is a moment when we bypass the rational mind, that neuroadrenaline chemical is asleep and the soul can speak. Now, is it our body's innate way of metabolizing the day and what's gone through and the emotions and stuff? That's, yes, that's important too, because that is our human mechanism that does that. The problem is we're not sleeping, and so that's not getting done. I believe that's why there's an increase in anxiety and depression amongst the chaos that's around us. So when we begin working with dreams, there's so much information we can get there, because it is that connection to something of the infinite that we are.
Hmm.
And within these dreams, there's symbols. That's the thing. Our soul doesn't speak in English or Spanish or French. It just speaks the soul language, which is symbols. And so that's where I think we get a little tripped up. Well, this person was doing this to me in my dream, and then we're mad at them.
Right.
when really I would look at it more like everything in our dream is us. So what's the aspect of you and this person that's doing that to you? And the soul's like, hey, this is what's going on right now. We might want to work on this. So there's this beautiful wisdom within that we're seeking outside of ourselves. It's in our nighttime sleep. Um, I have a great story of my
Sure.
dreams when I used to have a recurring nightmare, and I look at nightmares as gifts, right? Soul screaming, like, pay attention, pay attention. And I used to have Michael Myers from the horror movie Halloween show up.
Mm.
Yeah, he was scary. Oh, he'd come out of my walls, he'd be behind me. And it was this reoccurring dream through my life. Of course, I carried that inner fear. And then, isn't it interesting, after the large experience I had, fear was moving through me in the middle of the night. So there was that big energy of fear. So when I started working with plant medicine, after a year of that, all of a sudden I had a dream that Michael Myers was sick and I was holding his hand, helping him heal. So when we look at that,
Mm.
like, oh, I'm actually healing my fear because he's representing my fear. I'm healing my fear. Like, it shows me how far I've come. And then I run a dream series periodically throughout the seasons, and it was right before my fall one. And I love walking at night. And it was end of September, beginning of October, and I was out walking. It was rainy, dark. I like being walking out there. And I look across the street, and there's someone dressed up as Michael Myers walking down the street.
Mm.
And I just been thinking, like, it's so strange how my dream life is coming into my waking life. And I turn down the street, and there's Michael. He turns, and I'm like, well, here's my dream in my waking state, and Michael Myers is behind me. So it really came full circle. I laughed, like, okay, universe, this is perfect.
Right.
So through that, I worked through my fear without having to do a lot of work during the day. And
Right.
so we can incubate stuff in our dreams. We can, and I'm going over this really fast, but just by dream tracking, just by writing, if I were just write down Michael Myers in my dream, wall, car, that's all you have to do. You're going to cognitively increase, your intuition's going to increase, and then things are going to start coming through during the day for you a little bit more.
Wow. So in a way,
Yeah.
journaling your dreams. This is why a lot of people say if you have a really big dream, you have a something beside your bed that you can get up and write what happened because we forget it so quickly. But
Yes.
but
Oh,
acknowledging
yeah.
it and remembering it can help you
And
afterwards.
just a word.
Hmm.
That's really all. You don't even need, we're so quick to go
It's
to the dream dictionary.
right.
But like a dog in your dream and a dog in my dream may be two completely different, means
Hmm.
different things to us. So these dream symbols are so personal. I like people to develop their own dream dictionary because there'll be repetitive symbols, and they're like these energetic messages, these codes from our subconscious, that help the body remember, release, and kind of align with what's true for us. And we get to really speak with our soul.
Hmm.
I've had some pretty amazing things happen in my dreams.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna
Yeah.
say that. I was gonna say, and I'm not a dream expert, but I've concluded that I believe there are different types of dreams, and some of them are spiritually driven, and some of them not so spiritually driven, only in the sense of I can remember I think I've spoke about this once on my show, is when I was a child, I was probably around 10 years old. I wasn't that old. And I had this dream where I was in a different part of the earth, but I was flying around
Mm.
and I was in a mall and it was daytime. So it was nighttime where I was sleeping, but it was daytime and I'm flying through this mall and it was busy. It was really busy. And I'm going up to people and I'm waving at them and they're not acknowledging me. And I'm going, what is going on? And I'm kind of moving around and I'm trying to get someone to acknowledge me. And I look to my right and I see another person, a girl, and she's doing the same thing. And I'm watching her kind of zip back and forth and trying to talk to all these different people. And I'm like, what is she doing? And the moment I thought about her, I was right in front of her. And I said, hey. And she was surprised that I could see her. And she was like, oh my gosh, you can see me. And I said, I can see you. Yeah. Like, what is going on? And she's like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out. And we're moving through this mall type structure where people aren't seeing us, and we start having fun with it. We start going into these stores, and we're kind of joking in front of people, and then we're going all over the place. And we get to this point where we're at an area where people would be checking out their clothes or whatever they're buying, and we're just kind of laughing. And she starts to disappear. I start seeing her disappear. And I said, "What's happening?" And she's like, "Oh my goodness, I'm going. I need your number or something. I write down your information." So we're trying to grab the pen, and I can't grab the pen, and I'm like, I can't do it. And she's gone. It makes the hair on my arms go up because just talking about it is so like I was right there.
Mm.
And when that happened, I got really sad, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And then I came out of the dream. And I went, whoa, that was a dream. And I was
Mm.
trying to, I mean, there's so much to unpack there, but it's like, was I here? Was I somewhere else? It was I really, and I mean, when you're 10 years, like, I wouldn't have, how would I create that storyline up? What an odd thing. So,
That, yeah, I'm thinking that wasn't a dream. I'm thinking you were,
yeah,
I'm thinking that was like astral travel,
right. And I think
out
that's
traveling. Yeah.
one of the times I have astral traveled. I think
Yeah.
that's one of the times I can
How
at least
cool is
remember.
that?
Right. Because I was quite
Yeah.
young, so I didn't have anything. Um, as we get older, we have experiences and then we question our sanity, all those things. When you're a kid, things happen. You're just like, oh, that's what happens. It's like kids when they say they see ghosts or they're fairies or
Yes.
they have their little friend come in their room and they play with them, and then we
All
shut it
normal.
down and we say that's strange. That don't talk about that, and we're shutting that down. But if we didn't do that, what would happen? What would that turn into over time? You know, and that's probably what we need to be doing is
Well,
not shutting that
and
down.
I think you said it earlier, we're moving in that way, and that's where it starts to nurture it and not shut it down. Because as a child, our frequencies are high. We're in and out all the time.
Right.
And we're not so dense in the body. But we actually all astral travel. We just don't remember. The
Mm.
soul loves to travel at night. We just don't remember.
It's funny you say that because as soon as I said, I think that's the one time I traveled, I knew intuitively I'm wrong. I just
Yeah.
knew intuitively I'm wrong, but you're just not remembering, Joe. You just at 10 years old, you remembered it for some reason,
Well, it becomes
possibly.
scary. It becomes kind of fearful. I
Hmm.
think some people think if they leave the body, they're not going to ever come back in. Eventually, you're going to have to go to the bathroom, so you're coming back in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think
So,
they associate it with death. I think there's an association of, oh my
yes.
gosh, if I'm out of the body, my physical is gone. But you're not going to die that way. Is that right? Like you're not going to leave the
No,
body.
no. And there's always that it always went around that, oh, if you die in your dream, you're going to die in real life, which I've died in my dream before and I'm still here.
Right.
And it was super beautiful. So I've had NDEs in my dreams.
Wow.
But yeah, I think that there's stigma around it. And if we go back in time to especially when religion came in, it was taught to us that dreams are like the devil coming in or it's taking you and you have no power. Because what if you at that point knew you had the power? Anything you wanted to know was within. You would not need anybody out here. So it actually, there was was a point in some cultures where it was illegal to talk about it. I don't illegal, it wasn't the word then, but it was, you weren't allowed to talk about your dreams
Hmm.
because that gave you so much power. It wouldn't it be interesting to see what our world would be like now that if that was so nurtured? Because in Egyptian times, they had dream incubators and people would come from all over and they'd have these big festivals and they'd lay out in the stars and they'd wait for the first dream to come so then they could take it to the priest or the priestess and tell them their dream. Then they tell them and decide if it was the type of dream to go into the incubator. Then they'd go into these big dream incubators with snakes running on the ground. Interesting, that's our medical symbol. And they would be healed. They found over 300 incubators.
Wow.
Native Americans, where do we plant? Which way do we move our tribe? They always went to the Dreamweaver.
Mm,
And so
yeah.
we did begin here with
Hmm.
our dreams being the connection to whether it was gods or the heavens or, spirit and
Yeah.
guides. So we've lost that.
Yeah. Right.
And look how chaotic, look how much chaos and there
Yes.
is. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
feel like if we just could a little bit start working a little bit more within in our dreams, our intuition would grow. That's really all
Hmm.
it takes. And to your question earlier, it would raise our frequency.
Hmm.
Like, look at how I worked through my fear.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I did stuff, but yeah.
It does seem like our past was more interested in understanding of dreams. I mean, as soon as you said like natives, like I remember as a child I had one of those dream catchers and like those types of things. And yet we don't focus on that at all anymore. Instead, we're, just stuck on social media and your phone
Making
and
money, money,
yeah,
money,
money,
money.
money, money, money. And I was even interested. I was having a conversation the other day about how AI and videos have become to a point where you don't know what is real and not. And I had a few people saying, "Oh, this is scary. This is bad." And I said, "You know what? Here's Joe the optimist coming out because I'm always an optimist, and I think everything happens for a reason. And as soon as you get to a point where video, you can't tell what's real, it becomes obsolete. It becomes obsolete. Now we're going to need to be in front of people again. We're going to need to know each other again. Do you understand?
Oh,
So
that's
that like when you
beautiful.
look at it, if we can't believe what we're seeing,
Oh,
we'll have that
wow.
we're going to have that feeling of, oh, I want to touch that again. I want to be close again. I want that
I
feeling.
like that. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
it's how we work as humans. Like we almost like hurt ourselves in order to heal ourselves. And this is what we've done.
Well said.
AI is coming through, we're hurting ourselves, and now we're going, "Oh, okay, how do we know it's real? How are we going to know it's real now? It's scaring people." Well, you know how. Go somewhere. Walk in the forest. Go to the show instead of, it's the only way. It's going to get more and more like that, and it's going to get even trickier and trickier to understand. But I think it's something, and I'm just saying, I'm tying it into the whole understanding of like we've lost our connection to other things like dreams and who we are at a deeper level and things like that. And I think we're going to see a change. Do you? I wanted to ask you, do you work with people with dreams and stuff? Like, what is it that you do with people? I don't just want to get a little info on
What do I do
what
with
it is you
people?
do exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
um, well, I have a dream series that I run. That one's actually going to become a downloadable program at the beginning of 2026. And then I work one on one and I work with groups as well. I have two groups coming out in 2026. One of them is called The New Architecture of Being. It will be a choice whether to microdose or not microdose. It's not a requirement with my courses, but I do offer it. Most people are kind of interested in it. Um, and then I have another one coming out that's more of an advanced version of my dream series as I move into that and working more on with I, back to what you were saying about how we're looking back and things are changing because we hurt ourselves to go back. Ancestrals, bringing up
Mhm.
and working more with ancestral. I studied one summer with the Africans in Goma and worked with the ancestral realm a lot and bringing that forward because we can learn so much from them. And so, yeah, I work with the one-on-ones then and with consciousness. Yeah.
Lovely. You do this all through like a
Zoom.
website, or like is it all online? Is it in person? Is it a combination of both? I'm just curious.
I
I'm personally
yeah,
curious. Yeah.
yeah, it's most of it's on Zoom, but I do hold retreats. Like we have a men's retreat coming up at the end of March in 2026. And then I think we're gonna have a women's gathering.
Amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
So that would be the in person, but most of it I do um over Zoom
And where do people find out the information?
at lwsamphire.com. And I do have, because I work very closely with the medicine Amanita muscaria, which is actually legal in the United States and
Okay.
Canada. It's the red mushroom with the white dots. Beautiful for soothing our nervous system. Amazing, just bringing back that ebb and flow within the body. There's a free ebook that you can download when you go to my website and just read all about it. There's a lot of ancestral connections. She's an elder, and I believe she's the medicine of our time because she's restoring, she's a restorative medicine, restoring our bodies so that we can heal. Because I think
Mm.
that's important first.
I was thinking it's beautiful when I hear people talking about everyone's, some people have a strong opinion with plant medicine, all these things. I personally, I always look at everything that if it raises us to a place that we are better, then I don't argue with it. And I always, when we refer to she, because a lot of people go to the she, and that could be part of mother from earth. I'm not sure, but it comes up a lot. And I remember seeing a video, and I referenced this a lot, but there was a guy on YouTube years ago that I found, and he had gone to the rainforest and did an ayahuasca ceremony, and he had run from that and into his tent, and he was talking into a camera, and he said, "Nothing will ever be the same." And he was like, at first glance, you think this guy's just tripping out, but he's like, "No, you don't understand." He's like he's trying to come through the camera to say, "Listen, like wake up, like there's more than you understand about yourself." And he was so passionate about it that I immediately fell in love with it. I haven't done plant medicine. I've always said that if I ever got to a place in my life where I felt the need to, I wouldn't be against it. And I'm also not here on my show, disclaimer, telling everyone to go do a plant medicine. That's completely your choice. But I'm not, I don't go against things that help us. And so, we take other medicines, I mean, so
Yes,
it's,
and that's
some of
very
them are
well
much
said.
more harmful even. So we again don't want to go down there, but um, it's going to be, it's always up to the person. And but I always love when people refer to it as like she or because there must be a feminine
Yeah, I
energy
look
within it.
at Amanita. She's an L. I do refer to her as a she. And I work just, I like people to develop a relationship with the medicine and see how the medicine is going to work with them. And that's why I love microdosing first before any kind of large um, journey because some people just they do amanita and they're like, you know what, I feel really good. My anxiety's down. I feel good. I don't need to move into psilocybin, or I don't need to move into this one. I don't need
Mm,
a large journey. And I think sometimes it's just that little dial that just clicks like this. And really, it helps with the remembering of who we are, not the fixing. It's not a
mm,
fixing. We're remembering. And that's what the medicine did. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm grateful to be human and loving the human experience. It's not, I don't do medicine like I don't all the time. It's not one of those things where you have to keep on taking it. It repatterns the nervous system, repatterns our bodies. And then if we do, we do. If we don't, we don't.
mm. It's so funny too. I love doing these shows because when I'm talking to people, they tend to say things right before I'm about to ask a question, and it's so
Oh,
fascinating. Like I have a question listed, and you already started talking about it. Because near
oh,
the end of each show, I kind of go in the same direction at the end of each show because I like to get people's feedback and information on certain areas. And because one of the things I was going to say is, with the listening audience, with Soul Inspired Family here, you know, a message about who they are, about how can we start to remember who we truly are. And you just said that, and but mainly I go into the fact of why we come here. So in essence, I talk to all these people who go to the afterlife and they have these experiences and they come back and they go, oh my gosh, like we're so much bigger. Like it's beautiful over there. And they have these, and I said, well, why are we here? Like what is really truly the reason why we would come here if it's so hard to deal with? And I try to get everybody's feedback on that. I'm wondering if you wanted to share that with what you feel as to why we're here and who we truly are, kind of thing.
Because we love to feel.
Mm,
We crave feeling. We crave experiences. We crave the feeling of love. And we don't know love and we don't know peace unless there's chaos, unless there's hate, unless there's dark, unless there's light. So we soften the more we loosen our grip, and then we get these sweet nectars of life. We get to taste food.
hmm
We get to pet puppies.
hmm
We get to love one another. We get to be in community. We get to sleep. We get to dream, right? And so the soul is experiencing itself through us. So it is and oh, that just gives me chills. Like it just, my body's just chilling right now. And it's so beautiful. And so we just forget. We just forget. Um, but the soul remembers through duality and learns. So yeah.
I love that. A little bonus question for you before we go here.
Yeah.
Are we just coming from what you feel? Are we, do you feel that we're changing and going in a different direction? Do you feel like we're gonna make it? Like,
Yes.
do you have positive
Yes.
optimism about it, or are you kind of
Yes.
on the other side of it?
No. For one, the earth's great. She's fine.
Mm,
She's gonna always be good. Second of all, again, the soul craves duality in order to evolve, and we've got chaos all around us right now, so that we know what it feels like to move into peace and into tranquility. And it reminds us of what we do want and what we do strive for. Think of it like if you have a pond with all this stagnation in it, when you pour water into it, clean water, the stagnation has to come to the top before it can clean out. And I feel that's where we're at.
hmm Wow. I'm such a visual person. Like I'm such
Mhm.
a visual person. Um, I had a past life regression once and it lasted 3 hours and the guy said I was
Mm.
one of his best because I was so visual. I could see everything. I seen who I was in my other past lives and all these things and I was describing it. So the way you just described it, yeah, it's the clearing of that muck coming out as things are changing over, right? And that's exactly where I feel like we are too. And in that you
Yeah.
feel all that negative stuff. It's all around us. It's like, but we need it to clear and it'll only clear by pouring in the good. And
And then
so,
there'll probably be more muck. I mean,
yeah.
really, if we look through time, was there never not any muck? We just have it in our face now, social
hmm
media, and there's so
hmm
much more power. But I know for myself, what's moving through me is this compassion and empathy for humanity that I
hmm
don't think we would have felt if all of this wasn't moving through.
Right.
And this ability, the best thing that we can do, the best thing that we can do is go inward and shift our frequency, really go in here and shift this instead of out here. Because this is an illusion. This is trying to control something for protection. Here, we can change so much. I mean, just by listening to your podcasts, to your words is a frequency and it raises people's frequencies. That's what we need to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
I've also been
Mm.
told that about music too, right? Because that's why
Oh,
I've always loved music because it can raise frequency. People are always like, "But Joe, why is your music so soulful and it's so sometimes it almost feels sad?" I'm like, "Yeah, but that's clearing. That's allowing people to feel and clear their energy, right? It's not sad. We're just,
No, it's a
that's part of the
frequency.
feel.
It's a
Yeah.
sound. It's like a sound therapy. Like I speak
Right.
light language, and
Mm,
that's a frequency. It's a soul language that comes through. And when listened to, it balances the body and
hmm
it helps. It's love. And that's
mm.
music. It's the frequency of love. And that's that oneness. And that's how it travels through us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it at that. I've loved this so much. Thank you so much, Linda. This has been an amazing
Oh, thank you.
conversation.
What an awesome conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I always, like I said, it's my nighttime, so I love sitting down and talking to people and going
You should
through
have
these
some good
conversations.
dreams tonight.
Yeah, I probably will. I probably will.
I know I will.
Yeah. I always go to the camera and just reach out to the audience and say, please continue to like, share, and subscribe to the Soul Inspired. These are important messages and conversations that we're having. So if you think it'll touch somebody or help somebody, please share it with them. And it helps me get amazing guests like Linda on. So thank you so much, Linda, again, and
Oh, thank
appreciate you
you.
on.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
So